I inherited a company that was about to go bankrupt. My dad is still attractive and my brother is pure and boyish. In order to support me, they sold their sex to get married. So, my younger sibling with the red skirt and big waves turned 9 figures on the spot. And my stepmother with the cold and noble spirit of comparison gave away real estate and male models. God damned God's milk. There are so many people in the world who are married to each other. Why can't there be more of me? Good news. I am a rich man. Bad news. My family is about to go bankrupt. And I'm about to become a negative third generation. My grandparents are careerists. They built up a big business from nothing. While working on their careers, they didn't miss out on having children, giving birth to 6 and raising 5, making them a thriving family. Counting up. My father is the oldest 6. In every sense of the word. He grew up in a honeypot, eating and drinking, and spending his days with cats and dogs. With King Roll's parents and King Roll's older siblings to take care of him when the sky collapses. He had nothing to do with inheriting the family business. But maybe it was the bad feng shui of my family's ancestral tomb. When my father was 23 years old, several important things happened in the family. First, my eldest uncle quit his job and went to the plateau to pick up garbage. Then my second uncle got very sick and shaved his head and left the hospital. My third uncle fell in love with a curly-haired artist on a business trip. And he bent over backwards and stopped coming home. The family's hopes were pinned on my fourth aunt. My grandparents signed the share transfer agreement. When I opened her room the next day, it was empty. It was empty. Along with her robes, magic weapons and Taoist license. Only a letter was left behind, which was brief and concise. I'm going back to the Taoist temple. If you don't want this family business, then I don't want it either. Whoever wants it. My grandpa and grandma's expectant eyes fell on my dad. The only one left. My dad is a salted fish. He doesn't even know which way the company door opens. Grandma and grandpa had to rush the duck on the shelf. So 3 months later, my dad married the daughter of the Shang family next door. On the day of the wedding, my grandfather said in a serious manner, "I have discussed it. In the future, the company of the Wen family and the Shang family company are handed over to you. One sheep is also put to sheep is also put. Anyway, in the future both companies have to manage. Why don't we start from tomorrow? Fernando, you start working tomorrow, is it okay? Thinking that getting married will require you to teach your children. The king of the rolls, my mom, my dad, who thought he'd be forced to work if he got married. My dad, my mom, there is such a good thing. So from then on, my mom went to work diligently as the king of rolls and became the backbone of the family. My dad is happy to lie flat to do salted fish. Seriously, as a good wife and husband. The two companies, Wen and Shang, are prospering under the management of Fernando, the king of rolls. My brother and I, 2 small salted fish, and raised this old salted fish under the leadership of the growth. But the good times didn't last long. The Shang family's financial chain broke. My mom divorced my dad, sold her shares, and took away all the cash and real estate on the family's books. The day my mom left, my dad chased her 2 miles behind the car. Nora, Nora, I can't live without you. Nora. My brother and I hugged and shivered, afraid that my grandparents would catch me at work the next day. Apprehensively, I asked my grandparents why they didn't save the Zhang family's company. Grandpa sighed. My brother, I get it. This is to say that the mall is like a battlefield. Adults have adult helplessness. Grandma shook her head. Me, I get it too. It means that mercy is not in the hands of soldiers and righteousness is not in the hands of money. Grandpa sighed again. The old Xiao family, that boy is smart, also successful career. So many years have been waiting for Fernando. Then our family, this do not know how much better. Grandma shook her head again. If I were Fernando, I'd divorce Royce too. My brother and I, what a big melon. Grandparents sigh half a day. At the end did not forget to ask us not to tell my father. Said this, my father does not know anything. As soon as I turned around, I saw my dad standing behind me with a black face. My grandparents did not see any weakness on their faces, and went up to my dad and patted him on the shoulder. Congratulations. Your wife will have a new boyfriend. My dad was not congratulated at all. He was even more angry after hearing that. He persisted in chasing after my grandparents and rambling. Can't I sleep between them? Can't I be my wife's maid? Mom and Dad, I really don't want to go to work. My brother and I looked at each other and chased after them. There's still us. We can be babysitters when my stepdad has a new baby. As long as we don't go to work later. We're pretty good at feeding shit and piss. The Winchester rests were still going broke. A year after my brother and I graduated from college. This is the time to see the cohesion of the family coming together. Everyone is always connected. Even if they're not at home. They're sending text messages to make a group effort. Around the world grandparents. In the busy do not queue. When the salty fish really cool. Has been when a straight cool. Environmentalism uncle. Want to come pick up garbage? I have reserved a place for you. The second uncle who converted to Buddhism. The mountain fasting is very delicious. I can help you shave. The third uncle who has crossed the ocean. Soft rice is delicious. Let's eat soft rice together. The fourth aunt who catches ghosts deep in the mountain sends a string of messy codes. EA circle down. Or my grandparents and my own mom and dad are reliable. Grace brought in the big bucks. Brother, don't worry. Get through this. I'll teach you if you don't understand. My mom has brought a big order. Reese. As long as you can take this order. I can get you other orders later. Grandma and Grandpa brought a lot of photos. Photos? Wait a minute. Why are there photos? Grandma coughed. These are all known to have good character and no bad habits. And are willing to marry to pull the one family a hand. After an afternoon of discussion, we came to a final conclusion. At such a critical time. 2 marriages. 1 to inherit the family business. My brother and I are very excited. Only my father sat on the side of the table in a depressed mood. Bryce tugged on my mom's sleeve. And my grandparents desperately winked at my mom. My mom sighed helplessly. Okay. Reese. You're welcome to join the marriage. You 3 can roll lots. I know a few rich women. The result of the lottery came out. My dad is happy. My brother is happy. I'm not happy. My dad and my brother were in charge of the marriage. I, on the other hand, went to work to inherit the family business. My dad and my brother cried tears of joy as they hugged each other. The corners of their mouths harder to suppress than AK. After a moment, they asked in unison. Daughter, do you give my dowry? Sister, do you give my dowry? My chest hurts. I am very angry. Why don't these 2 men have any ambition at all and think of eating soft food all day long? Where are the morals? Where's the reserve? Where's the bottom line? Where's your home address? Where's the account book? Where's the nearest civil affairs bureau? There are so many marriages in this world. Why can't there be one more for me? I don't want to work. I want to get married. Want to lie. That night I had a nightmare. In the dream I rolled up in life and death. Every day 7. Finally succeeded died suddenly in the office. My dad and my brother were crying in the rich woman's arms. The next year, they were both carrying a daughter in their arms. A new one. The kind that had just been born. My dad, the old white guy, had red eyes. Sophia. This is your sister who died of exhaustion at work. My brother, the little white boy, with big tears falling down his face. Kate. This is your aunt who died of exhaustion at work. Then the 2 spoke in unison. More in unison than when they asked for a dowry. Don't go to work. You will become unfortunate. X2. Baby talk in response X2. Good Lord. It woke me up in a flash of anger. I wilted and went downstairs. Nanny Wang Ma quietly pulls me back. Missy. There are several luxury cars parked at the entrance. I stretched my neck and looked out. Good guy. This water of luxury cars. It is estimated that there are 10 or so. I don't know if this is my future sister-in-law, or my future stepmother's handiwork. Just thinking. A step on high heels, red skirt, big waves of the beautiful imperial sister walked in. Flaming red lips. Wasp waist and buttocks. Beautiful. Beautiful. The imperial sister leaned over and hugged me for an intimate sticker. Amina, you are so cute. First time I met you. I am your sister-in-law Maria. The imperial sister asked for my card number and moved her finger to directly into a sum of money. I'm a commoner. I only know how to make money, and nothing else. This is my gift to you. It's not much, but it's a token of appreciation. So I hope you don't mind. The cell phone vibrated. The text message showed that there was money in the account. I counted it several times, and confirmed that it was 9 digits and 8 euros. I was very happy and jealous. Joel. This dead kid. Married really well. Fragrance off also give money to spend big sister who do not want it. The imperial sister waved her hand. And the assistant behind her handed over the file bag. The bride price and contract are here. Joel and I are going to do the formalities. Please talk to my assistant about the bride price and capital injection contract. She smiled and asked Joel, who was sitting on the sofa. Is it okay, hubby? Joel handled like a little daughter-in-law. He blushed and shyly sat in the imperial sister's red sports car. Reese said the vish lie. Look at your brother, that no good look. Face red to the root of the ear. It scad. Not only red to the roots of the ears, are almost red to the heels of the bar. Reese laughed at Joel for 5 or 6 minutes. But he also talked a lot. This brat does not have any of my style. I didn't have the heart to break him down. He was no better when he chased my mom's car and yelled at Nora. I even videotaped it. Juan Mall welcomed in a large group of people. There were both men and women. All of them tall and imposing. At the head of the group is a cold beauty in a white suit with coiled hair and delicate makeup. When she entered the door, she was still speaking French to the person on the other end of the phone, sounding like a business partner. She hung up the phone and after a routine handshake, she nodded kindly at me. Hello, Amina. I'm your father's new wife. Ariana. I hope you don't mind. But this is a welcome gift. I only had time to prepare this in a hurry. I thought to myself. I'm Amina. I've seen it all before. You know. My new sibling just gave me 9 figures to fulfill my expectations. I'd like to see what kind of flowers this new mom can give as a meet and greet gift. The female assistant took a few steps forward. She opened the tablet and slid it, dutifully showing me a few properties. No matter from the location, decoration, appreciation, space and the price. All very beautiful. I was baffled for 2 seconds. Immediately afterward, my stepmother waved her hand and the burly bodyguard with sunglasses at her side walked over. It looked like he could have made 3 of me cry with one punch. The bodyguard approached and carefully slipped me a pile of real estate certificates. So thick a pile. I've never seen anything like it. Okay. I admit I was just strong. My stepmother smiled. I heard that Maria also gave you a gift. I don't know which one you prefer. Strange comparison between women. But I like it, hehehe. I thought that was the end of it. But apparently not. The stepmother tapped her head like she remembered something. I almost forgot. This is also my meet and greet gift for you. I heard girls love it. I followed her line of sight. A 185 tall. Male model body. Huge handsome. Shining big handsome guy stood there. My internal activities instantly became very complex. Specifically summarized as shy coy ecstatic I can temore man for my stepdaughter. Unusual and girly. Whose stepmom could be as sweet as my stepmom? No one at all. But as we all know, ISD or ONG. So I feigned shyness and excused myself. This is not good. My stepmother smiled kindly. What's the Introduce me. This is my son Camillo. There is such a generous stepmother in this world. Giving her own son to her stepdaughter on the first day of her marriage? I confirmed. Is it really for me? My stepmother smiled. Of course. She thought for a moment and then said. You can touch him. He's already conditioned. He's very well behaved. Me. Camillo pushed the gold-rimmed glasses on the bridge of his nose and nodded along. Me. I pursed my lips. Straight away. I reached out and touched Camillo's abs. Hiss. This chocolate feel. My hand went up and pressed hard on his pecs. Hiss. This massive pinch. Either that or women know women. And my stepmom really knows me. Finally. I fondled his shoulders. It's still a double door. And it's much more satisfying. Stepmom. Camillo. The tethered mass of furry whimpered twice in response. Strange. Where did such a chic little thing come from? Why didn't I notice just now? Camillo looked down at me. His face was green for a while and white for a while. In the next second, he picked up the furry mass and shoved it into my arms. I couldn't react fast enough. And the real estate lice unscrackled and fell to the ground. The white Samoyed tilted its head, whimpered twice, and gently rubbed its little head in my arms. A layer of red rose at the base of Camillo's ears. And he gritted his teeth. One word at a time. The meet and greet was it. Not me. I kaboom-ed my eyes and gave a regretful oh. Oh, Keat seems win, don't know women that well sometimes. My stepmother held her chin and thought. Actually, it's not like she doesn't. Camillo directly interrupted her. Mom, it's getting late. You should go and get a license from Uncle. My stepmother thought about it and turned to ask my dad. Reese. I have to go to the beautiful country at 10 o'clock on a business trip. Do you want to join me? The tone was very familiar. Not quite right. Why does my stepmother look so familiar with Reese? I went to Camillo's side, stood on my tiptoes and asked him quietly. Your mom and my dad. This is? Camillo's pupils clenched. His breath shortened for a moment. He did not move back to steps. Trying to pull away. Me. I was on fire all of a sudden. He wants to run away before I understand this melon? I yanked on Camillo's tie and pulled him back with all my might. He didn't react and stumbled a little as he was forced to bend over in compliance with the force. Camillo's bony hands gripped the tie, trying to save what little pride he had. I didn't give him that chance, glaring at him viciously. Tell me what's going on or I'll kiss and cry you. Camillo looked at me and I looked at Camillo, both seeing shock in each other's eyes. I thought to myself, crap. There goes the big truth. The atmosphere was subtle for a moment. I looked for a compliment. I withdraw that sentence I just said. Camillo. Over there. Reese and her stepmother were already reminiscing about the past. While on my side, the melon hadn't yet been eaten. Camillo lowered her head, not knowing what she was thinking. Looking strange. On the contrary, the assistant sister is holding the tablet with an expression of being high. Without even half a hesitation, I loosened my tie and ran to the assistant sister. There I ate a large whole melon. My dad was very famous back then. Handsome and well-built with an awesome personality. And no other shortcomings except that he was a salty fish with no ambition in his chest. Many single rich women, and only daughters who inherited the family business in the circle were very optimistic about my dad. My stepmom Mariana was one of them. Unfortunately, she was a little late to the party. And by the time she was done having kids, my dad's wedding was done. Wait. Have a baby? I couldn't believe my ears. For a moment, I couldn't figure out whether our generation was too conservative or I was too conservative. Seeing my misunderstanding, the assistant sister took the initiative to explain. The founder of the Shen family was a very powerful woman, who resolutely divorced her husband's family because they favored sons over daughters and treated her daughter harshly, and started her own business from scratch. Shen family is a legend. One Shen family rich heritage rich more than 3 generations. 2 Shen family heirs are almost all women. Some of them divorced to change their surnames. Some sitting in the birth of a family. Camillo Mariana is even more avant-garde. Early 20s on the package, a few handsome and tall figure is good small hybrid. Once pregnant on the high price of the breakup fee to the people to stirrup. What a role model for my generation. A word to the salty fish like me to hear the blood boiling. I was so excited. exclaimed. To engage in the career also need to look at the woman. Ah. Assistant sister nodded with satisfaction. Then small Amina. Then a moment I send you to one's career. Wait. Small Amina, where are you going? The more I walk. The more urgent. The faster I walk. Until, a hand unceremoniously picked up my collar. I heard the familiar gnashing of teeth. My dear sister. Where are you going? I turned my head and was confronted with Camilo's tragically handsome face. God damn. Why is such a handsome man, not my husband but my brother? After half a day of flailing and failing to break free from Camilo's iron hand, I can only make a righteous attempt to sensitize him. I'll go find a decent and kind person to help me manage the company. Camilo loosened his grip. He spits out 2 words with a flourish. Unbelievable. Well, I'm actually going to go buy some outfits for my wild female goose and bond with my wild men. Camilo's brain slowed to a question mark. Didn't make it. Got escorted to work at the office. Assistant's sister drove. Camilo tied my hands with that crappied eye of his. And renewed a piece for me to tie to the back seat. Am I a yai? Goddamn Camilo. But sometimes the world is so inexplicable. Some people let go. Some people are loved. Someone gets kicked and kicked like a wild dog on the side of the road. Oh, I am that someone who got kicked twice. Not long after dropping off Reese and my new mom on a business trip to the beautiful country. I went to drop off Joel and my new siblings on their honeymoon. And then on the way out of the airport to sneak off for a playdate, I got caught by Camilo. I was furious. I started trying to provoke Camilo. Are you greedy for the Winchester-S family business and want to annex the Winchester-S? Camilo was emotionally stable as a capybara. He flipped a page of the document. Didn't even raise his eyelids. And lightly spat out a sentence. My family has plenty of money. I super whispered back. Coincidentally, this is not. Camilo sniffed and looked at me. I super loud back. My family has a lot of debt. Camilo speechless for a moment. Camilo was speechless for a moment. He laughed out softly. Yes. You are so proud. Then please, proud Miss Wen. Finish reading this document and hand over a set of proposals to me before you get off work. If you can't finish it. He paused. A hint of gloating and a hint of leaping in his tone. I will sell your wild daughter and wild man's account to your assistant sister. My mom. My Basil. My 7th uncle's broken cotton jacket. How did he know the password of my account? I must kill Camilo. Sister. Is it you who snitch Ed? Assistant sister sitting in the driver's seat. Quiet as a nettlesome driver. I was furious that my alliance had been torn apart. And I peeled the seat to try to reason with my assistant sister. But Camilo didn't give me that chance. He grabbed me by the waist and fished me back in like a noodle. The next second, he skillfully tied me up with a spare tie. And incidentally covered me with a spare jacket. And thoughtfully tied the 2 sleeves together. Me. No. I'm masking. Camilo. Why are you so skillful at tying people up? Camilo smiled. Practice makes perfect. As if reminded. Camilo opens the mini fridge and takes out a bag of candy from it. He slowly wiped his hands with a wet towel. Tore open the bag. And slipped me a piece of strawberry-flavored gummy candy. I subconsciously chewed on it. This candy is a bits innuendo. When hired a professional manager, I could have done without the and Camilo slipped me another grape-flavored one. Damn, where did you get this candy so sticky? It's so hard to finish it. Not waiting for me to open my mouth to curse. Camilo asked again. Do you want a drink? Indeed, ha. My mouth is a bit dry. I nodded frantically. Camilo inserts the straw and hands it to me. After finishing my can of AD milk. I take a deep breath and continue to brew my curses. Camilo, do you want some chips? Camilo, do you want some chips? I was reluctant. I'll have some. The one on the right. The green one. After finishing half of the chips. I finally remembered what I wanted to do. This time I must scold him. However, Camilo holds up the tablet and hands it to me. The housekeeper asked what you're having for lunch. So order. I'm not sleepy if you're going to say this. I start naming the dishes, slipping in and ordering a whole page. Camillo taps a few more times on the tablet and I rush to stop him. Boiled fish and husband and wife flung slices can't be removed. And don't delete the hairy blood wanton for me. Eat your heart out. I thought. And added good-naturedly. Please. Brother. Camillo raised the corners of his mouth. And then quickly pulled flat. He hesitates. What about the afternoon shift? His father. Holding lunch to make Amina. Camillo can really have you. But Shen Shechen chef is first class. Even half a minute did not use. I have no backbone to admit defeat. For the food. No shame. Escape is suspended. I'll take the class. Camillo nodded in satisfaction. To be fair, I seem to have a case of the career bullies. One stot. It's a thief's six. In less than a month, I took over all of Wen's affairs. Under the leadership of Salty Fish Amina. When not only 8 Shan families order. The subsequent cooperation has also advanced one after another. And thanks to the 2 salty son-in-laws. When also managed to get on the 2 big ships. The Mu family and the Shen family. It's hard to believe that after only half a year, the bankruptcy crisis that had been plaguing the Wen family for so long was lifted so easily. After dealing with a large pile of documents, I paralyzed on the sofa and swiped the video. One by one, the rubbing men jumped out first. The actual Bashan Shushui miserable place. There is always a tart man going me. This one wears a mask. The default is Shaun Dada. Pass away. This one has a good face and body. So I recommend him. This one is wearing a trench coat and a black shirt to dance. Love it. Love it. I was so satisfied that I almost fell off the sofa when I rolled over. I almost fell under the coffee table if not for Camillo, who just came in and gave me a hand. Camillo placed the dessert and milk tea he was carrying on the coffee table. I cleared my throat and rushed to him. Camillo, I want to fall in love. My parents won't let me. But now you won't let me. Camillo, I get it. I'm going to kill Fernando. Me. What's Fernando got to do with it? What's Fernando got to do with it? No. How does he even know about Fernando? And isn't Camillo the living father coming a bit too often? Camillo didn't take over the Shen family's company. But his own company is making a name for itself, and is known in the industry. He even went to an ASTAQ last month to ring the bell. It is said that the next project with Shen also cooperated with a project. It should not be so fast to close down. A thought flashed through my mind. I stared at Camillo suspiciously. You wouldn't be because you don't want to go to work. So you specially came to stare at me at work. Right? Camillo unnaturally averted his eyes and denied. You're overthinking it. Nothing. Me. I haven't said anything. Camillo. Camillo. I said it ahead of time waiting for you. Me. Camillo inserts the straw and hands me the milk tea. Tone of sincerity. Okay. I withdraw that earlier. Him. Says. The. All. Is. It's me. The. Word. I angrily declared that our plastic sibling relationship was at an end. The other party showed understanding, and withdrew a milk tea. A pudding and a strawberry cupcake. Abominable. If my brother hadn't come to my door to deliver warmth, I would have chased after him, and snatched the stuff back. I exposed myself to the milk tea and asked my brother, do you think I'm a business genius? Joel was suspiciously silent for a moment. God damn it. He was actually silent. But I don't know if this kid has learned his lesson. He quickly changed the topic. Maria is pregnant. Sis. You are going to be an aunt. Are you happy? I'm not sure if this kid has learned his lesson. But I'm not sure if this kid has learned his lesson. I grabbed Joel and asked, Auntie Shen wouldn't be pregnant too, would she? When I think of the dream I had half a year ago with Kate and Sophia, my head got big. My brother scratched his head and denied this unsupportable guess. How could that be possible? Dad had tied the knot a long time ago. It was right after Mom and Dad got divorced. Remember? I thought about it for a while and confirmed that I had no recollection of it. I just remembered Ad took you out for half a month. I was so angry when I found out. It was only after Reese took me out again that I forgave him. Joel looked depressed. What fun. Reese went for an operation. I took care of him in the hospital. That night, I had another dream. The scene in the dream was the same and different from reality. In the dream, my grandparents were still career maniacs. But this time they only gave birth to my dad as the only son to inherit the family business. And Comrade Reese, who is gentle in nature, has been expected to do well since he was a child. There is only one thing he has done in his life that is out of the ordinary. And that is to secretly fall in love behind his grandparents' back. He even agreed with the other party that the child with the woman's last name, and then he with the child's last name. But plans can't catch up with changes fast enough. Grandpa was hospitalized with a serious illness. And Grandma had just finished surgery and needed to recuperate. The burden of the family immediately pressed on Reese. Reese's girlfriend is very understanding, took the initiative to break up, and a year and a half later gave birth to a boy whose father is unknown. And a few days later, my dad and mom got married. My mom is the daughter-in-law chosen by my grandparents. She is from a comparable family, with outstanding looks, education, and ability, and is also the only daughter of the family. But in reality, the Wen family is trying to annex their daughter-in-law's family. The Shang family stored in the son-in-law's family company's idea of annexation. The old foxes thus decided on the marriage of their children. My mom wanted to have a career, but she was forced to marry into the Wen family to raise her children. And a few years later she gave birth to my brother and me. My dad wanted to be a gigolo, but he had to be herded into managing the company. It wasn't until a few years later that the Zhang family's company ran into problems, broke its capital chain, and was about to go bankrupt. My mom went to ask my grandparents for help and was unsurprisingly turned down. One of them said that mercy is not in the hands of soldiers and righteousness is not in the hands of money. And the other said that they were helpless in the mall like a battlefield. At the same time, they were secretly plotting how to get a bigger share of the pie after the Shang family fell. That day, my mom sat on the balcony and cried all night. My father smoked a cigarette in the small garden downstairs all night. He has no ambition and has been trapped in the Wen family all his life. He couldn't keep his lover. And now he can't protect his wife. The next morning, he sold all the real estate under his name, emptied the safe of his grandmother's most expensive jewelry and most of his grandfather's antique collection. He was well liked and had many friends who would help anyone in trouble. Soon everything was discounted, together with all the cash in the account. All to my mom. The two of them went to the divorce procedure hand in hand. When we parted, my mom gave my dad a hug. Reese, take care of yourself from now on. My dad gave a muffled hum. If that guy can't take care of you, I'm sure my ex-husband won't be able to let him off the hook. My mom was unsure until a familiar car drove by not far away. Seeing the familiar license plate number, she instantly understood something. My dad said in a gruff voice, I have checked. You two broke up after this old boy married once. But they are business marriage. Living apart for many years. Not much affection. Divorced a few years ago. There is no child. And he has not looked for again. Private life is very clean. My dad pulled open the passenger door. Super cold nodded at my mom's ex-boyfriend. And then flung the hem of his coat and left. With his coat thrown behind him, he walked with the wind. At that moment, Comrade Reese felt handsome. However, after walking across the street cornered, he was crying his eyes out. Snot and tears. The sound of crisp high heels gradually became clear. And a woman with a great figure walked over. With a fragrant breeze. She crouched down. The woman scared. Reese. Why are you crying like this? Reese cried louder. The woman disgustedly wiped the snot off his nose. Helpless. No wonder Nora divorced you and cried so ugly. Suddenly very glad that we broke up early. She called me and said that you were in a bad mood after the divorce and asked me to comfort you. Reese lying in the woman's arms are almost crying and pumping. Ariana. You're the first woman in the world to wipe my nose. My mom never wiped my nose. Woman. She pushes Reese away and is about to walk away. But in the end she goes soft when she meets Reese's red eyes. She gritted her teeth and said, I really owe you in this life. In the dream. After my dad and my mom divorced, my brother and I stayed in the Wen family. But 2 years later, I was sent back to the Zhang family. Because my grandparents favored boys over girls. Even though I showed my ability since high school and completed many projects independently, they still couldn't see me in their eyes. They even thought of using my marriage to pave the way for Joel to take the Wen family's business to the next level. So my dad and my brother cooperated. One stole the rest of grandma's jewelry. The other sold all of grandpa's remaining antiques. The 2 dutiful sons sent me to Zhang's house overnight. They knocked on the door of Zhang's house like thieves. And pulled my mom and stepdad out of bed to listen to their curses. My mom was yawning and my dad had dark circles under his eyes. The 2 of them were drowsy and were occasionally awakened by my dad and my brother who had gotten high on cursing. When morning came, my dad asked my brother, Does little Joel want to stay with us? My mom sized up my dad, Besides little Joel, you can stay too. The family doesn't lack a bite of food for you. My dad and my brother's eyes lit up like light bulbs. Obviously impressed. But soon they waved their hands and refused. I still have the shares that my grandparents transferred to me. I have to deal with it. My brother was pathetic. Mom. Stepdad. When you 2 have a new baby I can use the money to buy her toys. My dad. My parents still have some real estate on hand that I need to get first to give my daughter a startup capital. He pauses. And Royce. You're okay with me coming to your house as a chaperone maid, right? The stepfather hated to swear to prove his innocence. You count Nora's pre-emerita property. How dare I have a problem with it? Satisfied. My dad dragged my brother back to his home. I hugged my pillow for half a day before digesting this bizarre dream. Wang Mon knocked on the door. Missy. Big Ariana wants you to come over sometime. Big Ariana is my stepmother. She doesn't like to be called Mrs. So and so. So everyone tacitly calls her Ariana. And to distinguish her from Camillo, everyone in the family calls her Big Ariana. Big Ariana. Sounds kind of cool. I washed my face and drove to Shen's house. After my dad remarried my stepmom, he lived in the Shen family's old house. I actually started out living at Shen's house. But it was so far from the office that I had to be dragged out of bed and packed up and thrown into the office by Camillo early every morning. In order to sleep 1 more hour. Also in order to get out of the clutches of the devil. I decided to go back to the Wen family to live. As soon as I walked in the door, my eyes were filled with the splendor and opulence of gold. How to say it? Just my dad married really well. The housekeeper greeted me with a smile. And did not ask me what I came to do. Said that people in the upstairs and asked me to go directly over. I guessed that my stepmother should have said. I did not see him as a stranger. Changed slippers and knocked on the door. My stepmother opened the door. My stepmother didn't come out. But Camillo did. He was half dressed when he ran out to open the door. My eyes fell on his ABS and I couldn't take them off. Camillo covered his clothes and took a step back defensively. Gee. That's a bit of a surprise. I don't want to show you my ABS. Look at Camillo. He doesn't know how to be flexible. My mom and uncle when moved downstairs. Didn't the housekeeper tell you? Not only didn't he tell you. He said he's waiting for me so I don't have to knock. I don't know if he was talking about my stepmother or Camillo. I turned to go downstairs. Camillo stopped me and asked. Do you remember anything? Or is there nothing you want to tell me? I thought for a moment and met his expectant gaze with a serious suggestion. ABS backs biceps back muscles. The best dowry a man can have. You've got to What are you doing? Camillo gritted his back teeth and said fiercely. Go practice my dowry. Then I heard a strange sound. System under attack. System in binding in progress, world reset in progress 1 by 1. I looked around and found nothing. Suspecting that I was hallucinating. Because this matter was on my mind. I stepped on the ground when I went downstairs. I rolled straight down the stairs. The back of my head hit the steps hard. I lost consciousness. In a daze. I heard someone ask, "Will this work? Does she want to get up? What if she wakes up and goes after someone?" Waking up is in the hospital. I opened my eyes in a daze. And before I could regain consciousness, a large group of people swarmed around me. The first person I saw was Camillo. He was bearded and his eyes were red. Camillo asked, "Amina, do you remember? Who am I?" I blinked and returned, "You are Joaquin." Joaquin got angry and withdrew a cupcake. I hurriedly said, I was wrong. "You're Camillo. My boyfriend Camillo." Joel cried out with a wow and came up for air. "Wife." My sister finally woke up. Woo oh oh. The big tall man of more than 1 meter 8 bent to a shrimp, nestled in the pregnant Maria's arms. The corner of my forehead ached. Before I could say anything, another cry of pain rang out. It was my dad and stepmom Mariana. My mom wiped away her tears and smoothly stuffed the tissue into Royce's pocket. She touched my head. "It's good to be awake. Mom is here. You can wake up thanks to Xiao Shenhe. You have to treat people well in the future." Then my mom asked, "Amina, is your system still there?" I shook my head. "It's gone. This world is a huge overlord novel. Everyone around me is a protagonist. My mom and stepdad are abusive love hegemony novels with a double strength tag. My brother and sister-in-law is the first marriage before love hegemony article. Big female-led label. My dad and stepmom. It's a broken mirror total hegemony article. Big heroine tag. Camilo and assistant sister. It's a run with the ball total hegemony article. Mansion tag. Everyone is the main character. Only I am a salty fish. Of course I am different. At the age of 10, I was bound to a salted fish system. As long as I am peaceful as a salted fish, I can lie to win, and go to the peak of life. I have been a rebel since I was a child. And I am not willing to be at the mercy of others. So I rebelled for the first time. The Shang family's financial chain broke and mom and dad divorced. The second time I rebelled, my grandparents forced me to marry an old man with 3 marriages. The third time I rebelled, the company I founded almost went bankrupt. My dad and my brother took it upon themselves to marry someone in order to help me. Luckily for Maria and Ariana. Until the 4th revolt, I finally realized why the world was so mean to me. Because I was with Camillo. He defied the will of the world and firmly chose me. And his official assistant sister and I were partners. Under my influence. The assistant sister was so focused on her career and bagging male models that she didn't even look at her destined male-led. I was the variable. And the world wanted to remove me as the variable. And it did succeed. With the help of the system, I died suddenly of exhaustion in my office. And when the ambulance came, the body was hard and stiff. But Camillo wasn't willing. I don't know what he found to reverse time and space. As long as I can stop the established fate of the Winchester S bankruptcy in that time and space, manage Winchester S and make it bigger and stronger, I can survive in the real world against all odds. In the reverse time and space, completely controlled by the system, I completely became a salted fish without a trace of aggressiveness. In the dream world I wove, my mom and dad are good people. My stepdad and stepmom are good people. And my brother and sister-in-law are also good people. If there are lovers, they should be married. Good people should be rewarded with good fortune. And they should be blessed by the whole world with smooth sailing. They should not suffer any setbacks because of me. I was in a dream world and didn't want to wake up until Camillo showed up and forced me to go to work. Everyone is a very, very good person. And they gave up their protagonist's source so that I could live. Gave up their unbelievable luck. Their golden fingers that turn stones into gold. Their unrivaled business talent. It's no big deal to become an ordinary person. Amina is the most important thing. The big deal is to start another business. It's not like I can't do it. They say so. And they did. I managed to survive. The system was gone. The will of the world had collapsed. And all that bound me to it had disappeared. Camillo had washed his face and shaved somewhere. And even sprayed himself with perfume. He approached me with a bouquet of Phalaenopes orchids. Love and happiness came together for me.